Hi Stitchers, this is Jira80 or Gemma, making my second video about cross stitch. Thanks for all the positive comments on my first video. It's really nice to be welcomed and be part of the cross stitching YouTube community. I still love looking at all your updates and progress and videos on YouTube, and it's great to see so many other people that are being equally inspired as I was, and also being part of the community and uploading videos as well. So if you've not done a video and think of doing a video, then honestly it's not that scary. Everyone is really lovely, and I urge you to do a video to share your progress with us all. Right, this video is obviously an update of the whips, although as you may know from my first video, I don't really do more than one at any given time. I have been slightly pulled to the dark side on that matter, because technically I have 2 whips now, but you'll understand my reasoning behind it as I go on. So I'm going to try not to say as well, which is why I'm hesitating, because my last video I said an awful lot. Also, I do know that some people said that they couldn't hear me clearly. I am sorry about that. I'm not very good at computers and just can do enough just to get by. So I did try and adjust my microphone using my laptop. I'm not sure that's worked or not. So if you could give me some feedback, hopefully you can hear me, and I will make a concerted effort to speak as clearly as possible, although it is in the evening and my partner's in bed, so how loud I can actually speak is another issue. But here goes. Firstly, as regards to a stash video, as I've said in my last video, I did one project at a time, and I worked from kits. So other than maybe keeping some patterns that I've had from the past, I don't really have a stash as such, although that looks set to change after being inspired by all you stitchers. I am seemed to be collecting a few different patterns, but I don't tend to want to have loads of patterns, because I'd like to keep them up. I don't like the idea of just having loads of patterns, because then I'd forget about them and not stitch them and that sort of thing. So yeah, I'm working on that issue. Also, in my last video I referred to what got me back into cross stitch after years of not being into it, was a Bothy Threads summer cupcakes that I did, but I didn't show a picture of actually what they were like, because I'd actually given the project away. This is what I was referring to, and when I was saying that it was great because it's very bright, the colours are bright, there's beadwork on there, small amount, and there's also these like appliques, which are actually, oh you can't see because of the glare, I am sorry. There's like these little fabric appliques. Well, this is a kit, it comes as a kit, so everything that you need is in there. It's on 14 counts Aida, but it's really bright, so if you're watching this and have never done cross stitch, this is ideal, because each one, if you just complete the one in the middle, if you start from the middle, if you just complete the one in the middle and actually it's not for you, then you've still got one that you've done. That's what's great about this. Like I said, I actually gave the completed project away. I would also say anyone that's never done Bothy Threads before, they're an excellent, their charts are very clear. I can't show you the charts, but they're very clear to see. They're quite large and they're clear, so they're a joy to work with. There's lots of other charts. Obviously the designs I pick them because I like them. but there's some other charts that I've used that are harder for sure to read, or it's either very small or the symbols are very similar to each other. I would still do them because I really want to do the design, but yeah, it's not so easy on the eyes, and there's actually nothing wrong with my eyes, touch wood. Whereas body threads, I'm assuming based on their other charts, I would imagine that they're really nice and clear and easy to read. So if you was considering cross stitching, or for the first time, or would maybe wanted to progress onto larger projects, then they're really nice projects to start with. Like I said, it's only been recently that I'd even moved on to charts. It's all a learning curve for me still. So it's only recently that I only moved on to charts. So obviously I had collected some kits, some of which I've done. For example, the Designworks coffee cup that I showed you in my last video, that's completed and has I've framed it myself and put it in the kitchen. Also the marriage, the Corinthians and the marriage sampler, that's now been framed, although that's been put to one side because that's going to be used as part of the decorations to go towards my wedding. I would suggest finishing the finishes, if that makes sense. So when you finish cross stitching a project, I am equally as guilty. There has been a few that I've cross stitched and are literally still rolled up and put somewhere. It is quite nice to just finish them, as in whether you're going to turn them into cushions or covers or frame them. It's finishing the finishes, and that I'm going to try and do, because otherwise I'm going to end up with lots of finished projects that are just no one seeing or appreciating really. So that's my little goal to myself. But yeah, I like I said, I started off with kits. The bride, which I was doing, which you can see in my last video, that was actually a chart. So that was the first chart that I was working from, where I actually bought all the supplies separate. So like I said, I don't have a huge amount of stash on floss or cottons or no silks whatsoever, only beads for as and when I've had the projects, because I've only just started sort of kitting them up myself. That is much more me. I do tend to want to alter things, so this is definitely the way I will be going with my cross stitch. But yeah, obviously previously, even then I didn't have a whole lot of stash of kits. So, but for what I did have, these are the kits, obviously in its entirety, that I've got left, that I've not completed and given away or whatever. And they're Lilliput Lanes. There is another cross stitcher on here, and I'm so sorry I forgot her name, that did a Lilliput Lane, and it looks really cute. So I'm looking forward to doing these. But these are the Lilliput Lanes. Excuse the glare. So that's the Kendall Tea House, and we've got the Toy Shop. That's really cute. Now, they both come with the threads and the 14 count Aida, which I would have been happy working on. The bride that I was doing, that was 16 count Aida. The Designworks coffee was 14. The mermaid was 14. The wedding sampler was 14 count. So as you can see, because a lot of them were kits, it's all been Aida. And since being part of the YouTube community of cross stitchers, obviously you'll notice that a lot use linen or 28 count. I'll talk about 36 count, 32 count. Obviously Miss Milky Bar Kid done a great tutorial on all the different fabrics and the different names that's used and everything. And I was just intrigued really, because you think, obviously I knew about it because I buy magazines and stuff, so I knew it was there, but it was always like, oh no, that looks too difficult, and I don't want it to be a chore, I want to enjoy it still. But then I succumbed and I thought, oh, I'm going to try. So I bought in the material and the pattern for a 28 count. I thought I'm gonna give it a go and I'm gonna try, and I love it. I absolutely love it. And anyone that thinks it could be difficult and hard, it's really not. The first couple of stitches, because you've never done it, you sort of double check yourself about 10 times. Well, that's what I did. But then after that, it's an absolute joy and very satisfying, and just as equally as satisfying as Aida. That's not to say that I would never stitch on Aida again. And I think at the end of the day, if you're going to stress out, if you try a linen or any of the others and you don't like it, if I didn't like 28 count, then I would stick to 14 count till the end of my cross stitching days. I'm not sort of a cross stitch snob in that way. I think for most importantly, you have to enjoy doing it, otherwise there's no point doing it at all. So yeah, definitely I'm all up in there for the Aida, but if you've never tried linens or Joblan or the others, Brittany, Lugana, Belfast and all the others, then try, because you never know until you try these things. And that's definitely my motto. I've still not used silks yet. I will do. I'm not going necessarily out of my way to use them, but when the time comes, and they probably will with some of the patterns I've got, and charts and things, then I will definitely use them, and I quite like that this like slow growing process. I'm looking forward to that. It gives me something to look forward to. But yeah, so anyway, that's my little Aida and even weave thing. On to, I suppose, my whip section. Now, for anyone that didn't watch my last video, this is my bride. Which was done on 16 count. Aida. She's a lavender and lace chart, and she was meant to be for my wedding, which is going to be in about 4 weeks now. That was meant to be finished. That's not going to happen. And like I said, it's on Aida, although this is actually very soft, this Aida. I think it's an oatmeal by Zweigart or whatever. But yeah, I've put her to one side, unashamedly put her to one side, because I thought I'd give the 28 count Brittany a try with this new pattern that I bought, and I just haven't put that pattern down. So yeah, but at the end of the day, I will get her finished, because I don't like to leave things unfinished, but I'm going, at the end of the day, I cross stitch because I enjoy it, so I'm going to do things I enjoy. So yes, that's the bride that I keep referring to. So technically that's my whip. I haven't worked on it since my last video, because ironically about a day after, if not that day, I received the stuff for the 28 count, and I thought, whereas normally I would never start another whip, I thought, but it's not quite exactly another whip, because it's not like I'm just starting another pattern. This is a whole new experience for me, because I've never worked 2 over 2 on 28 count or any other count other than just 14, 16 and 18 on Aida. So I thought, no, I'm going to give that a go and see what it's like. And yeah, I haven't put it down. So yeah, I think what I'm going to do is I'm looking at the time, and I'm having problems loading up my videos, so I'm probably going to leave it here and do it as a part 1 and part 2. I'm sorry, maybe if I didn't waffle on quite so much, I could get through some things. But okay guys, I'll see you in part 2.